The pre-dawn chill of Denver bit at Captain Emily Hayes as she meticulously performed her pre-flight checks. At 32, Emily was more than just a co-pilot for Western Skies Airlines. She was a seasoned professional, her movements precise, her focus unwavering. Each switch flipped, each dial checked, was a testament to years of rigorous training and unwavering dedication. But beneath the calm exterior, a subtle, almost imperceptible tension hummed. Today's familiar route to San Francisco carried an unspoken weight, the burden of her lineage. She was the daughter of Elias Hayes, the quiet billionaire tech mogul who had built OmniCorp from the ground up, a name synonymous with innovation and immense wealth. Her father's fortune, however, was a meticulously guarded secret, known only to a trusted few. This was a deliberate choice by Emily, a conscious decision to carve her own path far from the looming shadow of his vast wealth. She was determined to earn her stripes, not inherit them. As the first stream of passengers began to board, the usual hum of anticipation filled the cabin. Emily, having completed her comprehensive checks, stepped out of the cockpit, her posture radiating competence, to greet the flight attendants. Her uniform was impeccable, a crisp blue that contrasted sharply with her dark skin, which glowed softly in the cabin lights. Her braids were neatly tucked beneath her cap, a meticulous detail she always ensured. As she stood near the galley, reviewing flight manifests with Maria, the lead flight attendant, a man in his late 50s approached. He was impeccably dressed in a sharp business suit, carrying the unmistakable air of someone accustomed to getting his way. His eyes, cold and assessing, swept over Emily, lingering on her face for a beat too long, a moment that stretched uncomfortably. Co-pilot. "Huh?" he drawled, the words dripping with condescension, a smirk playing on his thin lips. "Must be affirmative action at work. Didn't think they let anyone fly these days." He punctuated his rude remark with a dismissive chuckle, a grating sound that seemed to scratch at the cabin's polite silence. Then, without another word, he pushed past her, his shoulder brushing hers, heading towards his first-class seat. Emily felt a familiar sting, a flash of hot anger that threatened to surface, but years of rigorous professional training had taught her to swallow it, to maintain composure above all else. She met the sympathetic gaze of Maria, a kind woman in her late 40s, whose eyes held a lifetime of shared experiences. Maria offered a silent, supportive nod, a subtle gesture of understanding. Emily forced a smile, though her jaw felt tight, a subtle tremor running through her. It wasn't the first time she'd encountered such blatant prejudice, the casual bigotry that chipped away at her resolve. But it always pricked at the carefully constructed armor she wore. "Just fly the plane," she commanded herself, taking a deep, calming breath. "That's all that matters." The low, powerful hum of the engines beginning their startup sequence provided a welcome, grounding distraction, a reminder of the immense, powerful machinery she was entrusted to control. A world where competence, not prejudice, reigned supreme. In the plush, quiet confines of first class, Thomas Sterling, a prominent figure in venture capital, had witnessed the brief, uncomfortable exchange. At 58, his reputation was built on his sharp intellect and his uncanny ability to read people and situations. He had initially found the pilot's pre-flight announcements a bit too casual, but his attention was immediately drawn to the dismissive interaction between the male passenger and the co-pilot. He saw the flicker of insult in the passenger's eyes, the casual racism, and the subtle professional dignity with which the co-pilot handled it. Thomas was known for his ruthless business acumen, but also for his deep respect for talent and integrity, regardless of background. As the plane ascended, cutting through the crisp Denver air, Thomas found himself observing the co-pilot more closely. He occasionally saw her through the open cockpit door during brief moments, her focused profile against the bright sky. He noticed her calm, authoritative voice during communication with air traffic control, her quick, precise movements during minor turbulence. She exuded competence. He also noticed the dismissive passenger, Mr. Davies, who was now engrossed in a financial newspaper, occasionally grumbling loudly about the service or the slight delay. Thomas, a shrewd investor, recognized Davies as a minor player in a rival firm, known for his abrasive personality and old-school prejudices. During the flight, a slight technical issue with the in-flight entertainment system affected first class. While the flight attendant worked to fix it, Emily, the co-pilot, calmly emerged from the cockpit, not in her capacity as pilot, but to offer a quick technical suggestion to the attendant. Her explanation was clear, concise, and impressively knowledgeable, quickly resolving the issue. Thomas watched, impressed by her calm efficiency. He made a mental note of her name from the flight manifest he had discreetly glimpsed earlier, Emily Hayes. The name resonated. Where had he heard it before? He pulled out his tablet, discreetly making a quick search, a flicker of curiosity turning into something more profound. The flight was nearing its halfway point, a smooth journey over the vast expanse of the American landscape. Emily, now back in the cockpit, felt a sense of quiet satisfaction. The minor entertainment system glitch was sorted, and the flight was progressing perfectly. Suddenly, the quiet hum of the cockpit was interrupted by a message from air traffic control. A small, critical air traffic control error had occurred several sectors ahead, necessitating an immediate and complex rerouting of multiple flights to avoid congestion and potential delays. The instructions were convoluted, requiring swift decision-making and precise execution. Emily's captain, a seasoned but somewhat complacent pilot, initially seemed flustered. "This is a mess," he muttered, frowning at his instruments. But Emily, drawing on years of simulator training and an almost intuitive grasp of airspace management, quickly analyzed the new vectors. "Captain," she stated, her voice calm and firm, "if we request a 20-degree turn to the north, then a rapid ascent to FL 390, we can cut across the new congestion zone ahead of the other traffic. It's tight, but it's the most efficient route." Her detailed calculations, presented with quiet confidence, quickly convinced the captain. Together they executed the complex maneuver flawlessly, navigating the delicate balance of air traffic control instructions and other aircraft movements. The plane smoothly banked, then climbed, leaving the potential chaos behind. Meanwhile, back in first class, Thomas Sterling had just finished his discreet research. His eyes widened slightly as the name Emily Hayes flashed on the screen of his tablet, linked to a network of quiet philanthropic ventures and a significant family trust. The puzzle pieces clicked into place. Emily Hayes, the co-pilot who had just been insulted, was indeed the daughter of Elias Hayes, the reclusive tech titan. The realization hit him with the force of a revelation. He understood now why her quiet confidence, her sharp mind, and her unpretentious demeanor had seemed so familiar. The sheer irony of the situation, the passenger's casual bigotry aimed at the child of one of the country's most powerful and respected figures, was almost poetic. Thomas leaned back in his seat, a subtle smile playing on his lips. This flight was turning out to be far more interesting than he had anticipated. As the plane began its gradual descent towards San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge glimmering. In the distance, the usual pre-landing announcements filled the cabin. Emily, having completed her final checks, felt a surge of professional pride. It had been a smooth flight, the unexpected rerouting handled with precision. As the cabin crew prepared for landing, the first-class passenger, Mr. Davies, unexpectedly stood up, grabbing his bag from the overhead compartment, despite the fastened seatbelt sign being illuminated. Maria, the lead flight attendant, rushed over. "Sir, please remain seated until we are at the gate," she urged, her voice polite but firm. Davies scoffed. "Don't tell me what to do. I have a connecting flight. This delay is ridiculous anyway." He glared around, his eyes landing on Emily, who had briefly stepped out of the cockpit door to ensure the cabin was secure before final approach. "And you," he snarled, pointing a finger at Emily, "you people are always causing trouble. Can't even run a simple flight without delays. Stick to roles you're qualified for." Just then, Thomas Sterling, having unbuckled himself, calmly stepped out of his seat. He approached Davies, his presence radiating an almost palpable authority. "Mr. Davies," Thomas said, his voice quiet but sharp, cutting through Davies's indignant outburst, "I believe you owe the co-pilot and everyone else on this plane an apology, and perhaps a lesson in basic courtesy." Davies turned, his face flushed with anger, ready to retort, when Thomas continued, his voice dropping to a cool, almost dangerous level. "Allow me to introduce you. This is Captain Emily Hayes. Not only is she an exceptionally skilled pilot who just navigated us through a complex air traffic situation flawlessly, but she is also the daughter of Elias Hayes, the CEO of Omnicorp. I believe your firm, Davies Capital, is currently seeking investment from Omnicorp, aren't they?" The words hung in the air, a silent, devastating bomb. Davies's face went from flushed to ashen. His eyes, wide with disbelief and dawning horror, darted from Thomas to Emily, who stood perfectly still, her expression unreadable. The cabin, crew, and nearby passengers watched, stunned, as the scene unfolded. The powerful businessman, suddenly reduced to a stammering, humbled figure, had nowhere to hide. His world and his bigoted assumptions had just spectacularly collided with an undeniable reality. The stunned silence that followed Thomas Sterling's revelation was broken only by the gentle hum of the landing gear deploying. Mr. Davies, stripped of his arrogance, was a picture of abject humiliation. He stammered incoherent apologies, his face a sickly shade of green. Emily, maintaining her composure, simply met his gaze with a steady, unflinching look, a silent testament to the years. She had endured similar slights. Thomas Sterling, satisfied, simply nodded to Emily and returned to his seat, a subtle gesture of solidarity and respect. The rest of the landing was uneventful, but the cabin buzzed with a newfound, respectful energy. As the plane taxied to the gate, Emily and her captain secured the cockpit. When the cabin door finally opened, Emily stepped out, her head held high. Mr. Davies, desperate, attempted to intercept her, but she walked past him, a quiet dignity in her stride. As she exited the plane, Thomas Sterling was waiting. "Captain Hayes," he said, extending his hand, "an impressive flight, and an even more impressive display of grace under pressure. It was a pleasure." Emily shook his hand, a genuine smile, replacing her earlier guarded expression. "Thank you, Mr. Sterling, and thank you for your intervention." He simply nodded, a knowing glint in his eye. Some lessons are best learned publicly. Later that week, back in Denver, Emily received a call from Thomas Sterling. He didn't mention Davies Capital, but he did extend an invitation to meet, purely on a professional basis. Over coffee, he spoke not of her father's wealth, but of Emily's own talent and her unique perspective on the aviation industry. He saw her as a visionary, someone who could truly disrupt and improve the sector. He offered her a seat on the board of one of his burgeoning aviation tech startups, Aero Ventures, an opportunity to influence the industry from a strategic executive level. Emily, after careful consideration and a long conversation with her father, who, despite his immense success, had always championed her independence, accepted. She knew it was a role she earned, not inherited. News traveled fast in the insular world of corporate finance. Within days, word spread of Mr. Davies's disastrous encounter on the flight. Unconfirmed rumors circulated about a highly anticipated investment from Omnicorp that mysteriously evaporated. Davies Capital, already struggling, faced increased scrutiny and a sudden exodus of key investors. Mr. Davies himself was quietly sidelined, his reputation in tatters. Emily continued to fly part-time for Western Skies for a few more years, maintaining her connection to the cockpit she loved. But her role at AeroVentures rapidly expanded. She brought her meticulous planning, her calm under pressure, and her genuine understanding of airline operations to the executive table. She helped guide AeroVentures to become a leading innovator in aviation technology, fundamentally changing how airlines operated. She often gave talks, inspiring aspiring pilots and executives from diverse backgrounds, subtly weaving in the lesson of perseverance and the importance of self-belief. The passenger's insult had been a painful reminder of prejudice, but it had ultimately served to sharpen her resolve and propel her towards a horizon far grander than anyone, including herself, could have initially imagined. Her journey had come full circle, not through her father's wealth, but through her own undeniable worth, a testament to skill, resilience, and the quiet power of proving people wrong.